I got up, I knew the house, I ran into the bathroom and locked the door. And I was looking for a window. I thought there was a window that I was gonna climb out of and run for help, and there wasn't. It was just a half bath off the kitchen in the hallway. So I stood in there for I don't know how long. I kind of cleaned up, tried to get myself together. I was in shock. Finally, I wrapped myself in a towel, and my plan was to open the door real quietly and make a run for the front door. In order to do that, I had to go through the living room and the kitchen, kind of come together. They weren't like separate rooms, and I knew I might not make it, but that was my plan. And as I got down there, he just kind of obviously stepped in my way, stopped me, and he just looked at me and he said, he just started telling me where I was going to be the next day. And I just looked at him. I remember just my mind, I was already in shock, and so my mind was trying to process what he was saying. And I was thinking, I'm not going anywhere with you. What are you talking about? And I didn't say that. That's just what I was thinking. And he started telling me, you know, I'll pick you up at this time at this place. And, you know, and then he said, because I know that you don't want your sister to be involved. I know you don't want me to go get Cassandra. At that time, my sister, who I cherish, was 6 years old. I have 3 brothers. I'm the oldest in my family, and I have prayed and prayed years for my sister. And not that I don't love my brothers, but I mean, he knew where to hit me. He'd used that 3 weeks to find out about my family. He knew my stepdad was in the Navy. The next thing out of his mouth was, and you know, I know your mom must get lonely at night with your dad gone for 6 months at a time. And to be really honest, I know it doesn't probably sound feasible, but those words and the intent in his eyes after what I had just gone through, that was worse to me than what I had just gone through. That was more pain, imagining my sister in his hands. And that was all it took. And I mean, that's not the only time over a 2-year period that he used them against me, but that was his hook for me. And I think that happens in a lot of instances. Obviously, I don't know everybody's story. This is my story. From that point on, I was where he wanted me to be when he wanted me to be there. You know, I didn't miss a beat, and I basically led a double life. I still went to school. I still held down my part-time job. I still, you know, graduated early. I still helped my mom with my siblings. But at night, in my off hours, I was his, and he knew it. And he would come, I would meet him where he would tell me to be, and he would pick me up, and then he would take me to a house. Actually, it was a townhouse in Norfolk, Virginia, and sometimes it was a house in the suburbs in Chesapeake, Virginia. There were several homes. I don't know how to get there, but I could tell you what they look like. And then usually, and this is something else I think is ridiculously important to understand, maybe not from a legislative standpoint, but from a public awareness, the perpetrators of this crime are not just men. They're not just men. They're women too. There's women who use you, but there's also women who I don't know what the term would be, bring you into it. You know, one of the first instances after that first initial, I don't know what you would call that, introduction into it, he picked me up and took me to that house in Norfolk, and the next thing I remember, I do have holes in my memory, but the next thing I remember is laying on a bed in this room. The only thing in the room is the bed and an armchair where my trafficker sat. He always was there. And being surrounded by about 8 men and women. And basically, I was just their human sex toy. And I know this doesn't happen the exact same way for everybody. Sometimes it is, you know, commercial. But I'm telling you, I'm not the only person in this country who has been used in a house, in a suburb, in a townhouse, in a city for somebody else's sexual pleasure. You know, it wasn't always violent like you think of in the movies. Sometimes it was just sex. Sometimes it was violent. That's the key. It's either way, it doesn't really matter. The point is, for me and for other people who are sex slaves or even slaves, period, they stole my freedom. What happened to me, the only reason I'm whole today is because of my God. And I know this is a lot, and I'm sorry, but that is the truth, and that's what I'm going to say. That's the only reason I'm whole. It breaks your spirit. It breaks your soul. There's no shame in the world like what the shame you feel. They take your identity from you. You're nothing but a thing. You're not a person. What you want doesn't matter. You're no better than this telephone right here. You're serving a purpose and a use, and that's it.